Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GC Championship live on Apex Racing TV and live on the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me is Adam Hedgecock with Andrew Woodhouse on the cameras. We're just preparing for round 5 of this season 2 of the championship. Adam, we had a little bit of a chat last week in a mid-season podcast about what we've seen so far this season and what is coming up in the second half of the championship. Much of what we know seems to have been almost broken in this in so far in today's round. A mixed up qualifying, a mixed up practice order, and so far a pretty mixed up qualifying order as well. It could be a very interesting 2 races today at Watkins Glen.
Let's hope so. We said briefly just that just a few minutes ago, didn't we? How it could have been motivational to some people, and might have been the inspiration they need to kind of kickstart their season. But good stuff to see that it is getting mixed up. Interesting to see how that plays out in the long term tonight. We know how tricky it can be around here, so fingers crossed for a good night.
Absolutely, could be some bad starts potentially. That's what we got last season in the season opener. Of course, it was for season 1, and it was a pretty awful start to the season that we had. Hopefully, for this round 5 of this season 2, it's a lot better. We're currently in qualifying. The drivers have a 10-minute session, and they can set 4 laps during this qualifying session. And at the moment, it is the man who was on top during practice, Sam Powell, currently top of the drivers in this qualifying session. Hasn't taken a pole all season. In fact, James Saltz and Taj Edwards are the only, Tom McMahon and Taj Edwards are the only drivers who have taken poles so far this season. And Powell is right there at the moment in first place. Lee just promotes himself up into third. Apologies if you're seeing any of the iRacing HUD. Just trying to fix any little issues, but hopefully I'll be back with you very soon. But like I said, Powell at the moment on top. I think he might even have one more lap as well to set. Also, Matty Chambers still with a lap to set. Tom McMahon, seemingly with all his laps set, and he's down in 10th place as James Holman just promotes himself up into 9th. Tom McMahon down in 11th place, Adam. This is as strange as it gets. He's not happy with this circuit. He doesn't particularly enjoy this place. He was strong, however, around this place last season, but for a guy who's qualified on the front row every round of the championship so far this season, he's 6.5 tenths off pole position. It's completely alien.
It's a bit of a shocker, isn't it? I mean, it's not even a small amount. He's 6.5 tenths off. That's balmy. That really is. We know that Powell is he can be quick on his day. We know Visa Kopsika and Lee are going to be right up there with Taj Edwards. But yeah, 6.5 tenths. That's massive.
As that seems to be the end of qualifying, and we can go to the grid. And it is Aaron Powell then, with his first pole position of the season. Make Visa Kopsika, second place in the championship, might be able to make up some points in this race. 1/10 of pole, lines up in second. Then it's Daniel Lee, Taj Edwards in fourth, Nick Madsen, who was very strong in much of qualifying, dropped to 5th place in the end. There's Matthew Chambers in 6th, Mike Horder, a very good qualifying for him in 7th. Then it's James Salt, James Holman, and Stephen Broomfield rounding out the top 10. Championship leader Tom McMahon starts in 11th. Then it's Jeffrey Garzotze. Jensen Adrianson's another strong performance for Adrianson's the amateur driver. Then it's Dean Powell, John Derrick, Bob Humphrey further down the order than he'd like. So EVS are perhaps struggling today more than normal. John Gordon lines up just behind him. Then it's Kevin Kittelman. Andrew Becker greets the Becker back. Tom Stevens, Kev Copeland, Joseph Saul, Max Wolf, way down the order. Wolf, Derek Holland, John Tressiter, Carl Jacquelet, David Nichols, Ryan James, Dan Staddington, a new driver to the series, Brandon Warren, Andre McCullen, and Paul Clist. We don't expect Bradley Hoss to be able to take the start. It is his birthday. Happy birthday to Bradley. However, his pedals haven't given him a birthday present because he is not able to race today, unfortunately, despite getting into the session. So hopefully we'll see him back next week at Spa. But Visa Kopsika, I was saying last week, Adam, how he when I won a championship because I did that once. So when I won a championship, I had to wait for the others to make mistakes because let's face it, I couldn't win by myself. And this could be a mistake from McMahon, and these are the small opportunities, small windows that he's got to close in the points margin because McMahon isn't going to give it to him. To beat McMahon normally, it's ever so difficult. They start saying 10 places ahead, 9 places ahead today. That's a massive advantage for Bicycopska, and the pressure, if anything, is on him rather than McMahon.
He's certainly got an opportunity, hasn't he? It's a very surprising one. Again, as we were saying before, it's very alarming. It's probably the word I'd use to see McMahon that far down. Maybe he's playing the long game for the reverse grid race too. Who knows? But yeah, Visakopsko, he needs to capitalise on this, doesn't he? He hasn't won yet this season. He needs to turn that around, and today is his best chance for it. He's got his teammate Taj Edwards just behind him as well, so it'll be interesting to see if those two can work together and get a good result. Of course, we've got the adventurer Daniel Lee starting on the second row as well. But let's see what shenanigans he can get up to in this race. It's always good watching him, and we said last week, he is the adventurer. It is always fun and games with him on track. Let's hope we have a good one for him today.
Certainly Daniel Chuli is back. That's a pun on Jarno Chuli. He is usually very good in qualifying, is Daniel, but he has definitely improved in his race pace so far this season. I don't know if we could get the championship points actually up on the screen. I don't know if that's a possibility perhaps. Just see how this championship currently looks. I can't see the points. Apparently they're not there. Well, that's a bit of a shame. I think I added them in. Anyway, we will try to address that perhaps for race 2. We'll try to bring those points to you for race 2. However, I think I have them anyway on another sheet. And it's currently Tom McMahon leading the way in the championship, as we were saying. Make Bicycopska in second place. Taj Edwards is third with Bob Humphrey pretty close to him as well. And in the team's championship, it's Gold Racing Team and Evo SR leading the way. But yeah, this could be all change for him. There's Daniel Sullington, a new driver to the championship, just lining up in 31st place. And that might be a pretty good place to be for this opening lap because there could be plenty of stuff going on just ahead of him. And if he can avoid that, he might be able to gain a couple of dozen places even.
That was certainly a very bright and vibrant livery, wasn't it? Wow, we're not going to miss him on track, that's for sure. So yeah, good luck to him. It is always tricky to join a season that's already up and running, but no, all the best to him. It's good to see, actually, speaking of liveries, a lot of the drivers that didn't have their paints uploaded have uploaded them in the past week, haven't they? So we're seeing nearly a full grid full of liveries, which is an absolute delight.
You know that annoying kid of Charlie in the Chocolate Factory? He blows up into a purple fruit. Veronica.
Or was it Violet?
Oh, Violet. I think Violet would make more sense. Yeah. So looks a bit like that. Anyway, we've got a race about to start. It's going to be round 9 of the championship, race 9 of the championship, round 5 of the season, and we are underway. Powell from the pole position, Lee straight away, very alongside Taj Edwards. I think Lee's going to be able to make that one. Might even be able to make it up into second place, but it hasn't quite worked out for him, and Edwards does get ahead. Lee with a tight line going through turn 1. Mason Chambers gets him past Nick Madsen, also James Holman gets him past James Salt, but Powell crucially making a little bit of a break, but straight away on. We've got Madsen round, and that could be a big pile up potentially, and that is quite a big impact. And I think we are going to, well, are we going to need a safety car? Have the drivers got through safely? The majority seem to be all right, so I think we're going to keep it green for now. It's what can often happen around this circuit, Adam, and well, that could have been a whole lot worse.
We've seen it time and time again, haven't we? Going through the S's, there's just no room there. There are walls both sides of the track. If you get a little tap, that's it, game over. And anyone behind you, it's so hard to avoid with cars bouncing all over the place. So yeah, very hard luck for Tom Stevens. I didn't quite catch who that was back behind him, John Gordon, I think. But what a start from Powell. Really got the jump, didn't he? Visakopska was left defending from Lee off the start, and from being a nearly man in the what if with Aaron Powell. He's taken it by the scruff of the neck, isn't he? He's pulling a gap already, and he's looking to streak away.
Bloomfield with a card change recently. Next on the boom, hopefully more luck for him in the second half of the season, as McMahon looks as though he is going to be able to get past though. He starts in 11th place, did McMahon. He wants to get at least one place here, and he does make it into the penultimate corner. So damage recovery at the moment for him. He's in 8th place, 6 places behind Bicycopsica. This would be Bicycopsica's fourth, second place of the season, I believe, and this is only the ninth race of the season as well. So could still be good points behind. There is Powell with fast up the race, 48.6 to start off this event. Running pretty wide there was James Saltz, I believe, and he's going to be under pressure from his teammate pretty soon as we get a replay of what happened. Watch out for the whites and yellow car.
Oh, he's just got loose on his way up, isn't he? And he's just trying to correct it. He's just gone into the side of Horder. That's just popped him back onto the outside. Horder, nothing he can do there. He was running side by side, but it looked like it was a self-inflicted semi-spin from Madsen there that kind of caused it. That get a little on board now. We see some steering corrections as we go up through the hill. They're just there. See how he's having to turn left. Car is getting light and it gets away from him. That's it. Game over.
And gets a show a further hit from Stevens, I think. And Madsen straight back to the pits. Might be able to finish one lap down, which will mean that he will score points. But Nick Madsen, who we know is an exceptionally fast driver, really should be a championship contender. Hasn't quite happened for him so far this season, but certainly one of the favourites for a race win at some point. This is what it was from Jacquelet. You can see the tyre smoke, gets on the brakes and does a brilliant job. Well done to Woody there for picking that one up, because that was the perfect lead to see all of that.
You could see, couldn't you, just how tight it is there when stuff's going off in front of you. You can see the smoke. You've done the right thing, just started easing out, bleeding out the gas and slowing it up, but you still got to have your wits about you to avoid everything. And you've done a sterling job there. Well done, Jacquelet.
So 2 laps in the books, and it is Aaron Powell leading the way, 1.6 seconds now. He's extended that lead significantly on this second lap of the race. He was 8/10 faster than Bicycopsica that last go around. Lead does close in a bit on Bicycopsica. He's in a comfortable third now. I say it's a comfortable third. He's, oh yeah, it's a comfortable third. Chambers up into 4th ahead of Holman. He's up 4 places now. Is Holman. Great to see him back in the championship after missing a round or 2. Was that McMahon making a mistake? It was, and Bloomfield has got back past. We'll see how this happened. He was on the outside, but with the momentum, and Tom McMahon has made a couple of spins in Phillip Island and Le Mans in the last couple of meetings. That's another mistake from him. He drops him down to 8th place.
I was going to say, just as you were commentating there, Sam, I was going to say when you'd finished, oh, it looks like Broomfield's got back ahead of McMahon, but I had no idea that McMahon had been into the wall. That's a shocker from him. We know it takes a little while for the tyres to warm up on these cars, but yeah, you don't want to be grazing the outside wall, do you? It's going to give him some damage. Whether or not he can continue on, he seems to be losing a little bit of time to Broomfield, but nothing major it seems.
We always talk about in this series how important it is to finish kind of in the top 14 places or so. If you can do that, then you're probably going to be within the reverse grid. So he just needs to make sure he does that, McMahon. He might be one of the favourites for race 2. Remember, McMahon has won 4 out of 4 race 1 so far this season. It looks like there's no doubt that that streak is going to come to an end for him today. But he would like to finish in 7th place rather than 8th, I'm sure. This is also pretty important for their championship as well. EBS are in 2nd place in the championship going into this round. Powell with another fast start of the race is absolutely crushing the order at the moment, as Broomfield has to go defensive into 1. McMahon isn't close enough, and with this boot layout, with the chicane, overtaking can be quite tricky at times.
It can. I like this layout. We don't often do it. Usually it's the draft fest down the back straight, but this is gives the drivers a little bit extra to think about. Just having to swing the car in, try and defend where you can. You see Cardiff swinging out, just filling the mirrors of McMahon ahead of him, just trying to put him off a little bit. Single file through the bus stop, and then before you know it, you're into the carousel. This track is brilliant to drive. One of my all-time favourites. Horder, all over the back of Edwards as well. Horder looking to capitalise on his improvement from last time out at Le Mans. We said how it's been a quiet season for him, but he put in his best results of the season so far last time out, and he's looking to improve once again. Oh, that's close.
And now he's just been slightly compromised on the exit Jeffrey Garzotto, who I think missed the last round championship, did he? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. There you go. He's back in 11th place at the moment. But Order, to be fair to him, he made contact obviously with Madsen right at the start of the race, and I'm surprised he hasn't got more damage. Same likewise with McMahon, who hit the wall. These GTE cars are pretty strong. Yet to have the damage model applied to them will be quite a lot of work for iRacing to apply it to all 4 cars. Along with the other IMSA cars, of course, which run with these guys in the official series. There was Dan Sellington getting past Brian Jones. Could well be his first overtake ever in this championship. Max Wolf, he's had a couple of poor qualifying so far this season. Phillip Island comes to mind. He's trying to kind of do the same as what he did at Phillip Island and make a couple of good recovery drives. Up into 17th place now.
And he's rocking a new livery. Brilliant. They listened. Didn't we say the Indy Autosport guys need to sort their liveries out? He is running a new one. See Jacko. Oh, sorry, that's Calist. Oh, getting a little wheel out onto the grass. Held it well though, didn't he? Brilliantly held. Is that Wolf just coming up behind him? It might have been. But yeah, well held from Calist. Oh, that was Adrianson just behind. We'll see
I think it's Vector.
Oh, did he get in front of him? Oh yeah, you're right. I'm struggling today. Reading is not a strong point at the best of times. I wonder what happened to Wolf during qualifying. Because yeah, he's way down. That was my segue. There we go.
There you go.
That was why I was saying it. Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe I was preempting my next question to you, and I got the names muddled up. Yeah, he seemed massively off the pace for an unknown reason, qualifying all the way down there. We kind of expected more from him, didn't we?
Well, he did struggle at Phillip Island, like I was saying before, in qualifying. I think he's just not a fan of qualifying, to be honest. I'm certainly in the same boat as him, and Brandon Warren as well as another driver in the series who really doesn't like qualifying. It's mega close, by the way, between Salt and Broomfield. Just seeing really red at the moment. You can see it for yourself, actually. Orange on the timing screen goes for the dummy. Salt on the outside, and that's really going to compromise Broomfield now going through turn 1. Here comes McMahon. He's not going to get past going into turn 2. Quite. You don't get much closer than that. If anything, he's had to now get out of the throttle, and it's not quite the position that you want to be. But it's so tricky to overtake into this chicane, at least cleanly. And Broomfield doesn't even have to go defensive. In fact, he's got McMahon covered at the moment. James Salt in 6th place would be one of his best race 1 results of the season so far. He's been excellent in race 2, says Salt, but quite have the results in the first 25-minute race of the evening so far this season, as Broomfield makes a mistake and McMahon does get past him for the second time today.
He does indeed. I think he just got a little bit of a twitch on by the looks of it, but yeah, not the best of the carousels for Broomfield. McMahon doing the smart thing there, just tucking in behind. Just you're not going to get through there. It's single file. Carousel is usually single file as well. So he's just going to get a little. Oh, he just clips the curb, doesn't he? He just unsettles the car. Your best bet, in my opinion, is to look down to the inside of the left hand and come down into the boot. Pretty much the first half of the lap is single file. You're taking a risk. You're kind of having to put your faith in a very compliant competitor if you want to overtake in the first half of the track. So McMahon, despite being down the order, is still showing some composure, which is good to see.
Chambers apparently with a little bit of a poor connection at the moment, although at the moment he's 1 second clear, so affecting the drivers around him too much. James Coleman with a brilliant drive at the moment. I have such a good stat sheet, and yet I haven't got it up at the moment. I'm going to see what Holman's best result so far this season is, and so far he's got a couple of 6th places. This would be the Turn 3 Motorsports driver's best meeting so far this season. Turn 3 have got a little bit of a reputation in another Apex Racing League competition, however, besides that, and certainly in that league even, have massively improved on their driving recently, as Derek for Black Sheep Motorsports just about gets past Powell. He still leads out of the amateur drivers, but that was very narrow into the bus stop.
It was. I'm sure, like me, you held your breath when you see that move being made. Like I said before, you have to be very, very. You have to put a lot of faith into your competitors when you're going through there. That's yeah, so close, and that could have been the end of them so easily. See how much it compromised Derek's line through there.
So that was actually the previous lap. I was thinking, I thought it was Derek who was attacking, as there you go. I mean, credit to Powell there, he should have covered it off earlier on, to be honest, but once he realised that he hadn't covered it off, he could have shut the door there, and in fact, instead he left the car's width, and he gives himself a chance of coming back later on. Tressida for C-Team. He's made a mistake, it seems, to the toe, as he dips away onto the grass. He has, and
So easy to turn your
this
car around.
hasn't lost him a place, I believe, but it has lost him a better time.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to talk over you there, but yeah, it's so easy to spin the car into the inside wall when you catch the grass on the outside. I've done it so many times. Just a little flick on the grass.
Oh, here comes Lee. Straight down the inside into the bus stop. It doesn't look like Vasikopsko is even going to fight this one. And Vasikopsko drops down to 3rd place. And a little bit sketchy as well there. That looks very conservative there, Adam. I think Vasikopsko is very happy with 3rd place. And he doesn't care about those extra 4 points per second. But Lee will be very happy with that.
Yeah, it's a great move from Lee. Vasikopsko done the right thing there. I think just backed out, didn't want to cause any issues. They've got a nearly 6-second gap back to Chambers behind, so there's no threat there. I think, like you say, he's just banking these points with McMahon being so far down. Anything in the top 3 is a bonus from. Oh, you see the Evo SR cars getting so close together. Oh, that's a little bit too close for comfort. They're teammates after all.
He hasn't got past Holman yet, but if McMahon could get 5th place out of this after hitting the wall, remember. Starting in 11th, hit the wall, and it looks as though a top 5 is on the cards right now, which would maintain his championship lead. He came into this around 18 points clear. And with Vasikopsko at the moment scoring 48 points, I think McMahon would be scoring about 38 points. He would still have a lead, and of course would be starting ahead for race 2, as here comes McMahon. Salt is going with him. I doubt Salt will battle his teammate, but he would like to get past Holman himself, as they're 3 wide going to turn 1, and McMahon's going to be very tight. Salt, though, does a brilliant job of blocking off Holman, and he's also going to help out the Gold Racing Team driver Taj Edwards as well. He will happily go through, and Mike Horder might be able to get past Holman as well, who was on course for his best result of the season, but not anymore. And it's McMahon up into 5th place. Here comes Salt, though. He offered to let past McMahon for points at Le Mans. Anything but that right now, because there he goes down the inside, and James Salt gets past Tom McMahon, and that's not necessarily the best team game. It's not necessarily best for the championship, but it's best for James Salt's points right now for him to move up into 5th place.
Remember that question you asked me about whether or not they'll play the team game in the second half of the season? Whether they would put all their eggs into a basket and go for it. We see Edwards weaving around behind. He's keen to get on with it as well.
Oh, look at Horder.
Horder, round the outside. Can he carry the momentum? Holman squeezing, didn't he? Oh, he's compromised Horder's exit, and Garzotto now interested up the inside. You see the damage to Horder's front right there. Garzotto going to throw it up the inside. No dice for that move. Horder just enough to hold on to it. But yeah, we're certainly not seeing any team orders at the moment, are we, Sam? This is brilliant. Actually, this reminds me of satellite racing in the early part of last season. They're just going for it, not caring the same thing. They're just going for it.
I think you're right. However, what I would say, I think is either us care about this a bit more than the satellite guys did. I think McMahon is a little bit more desperate for the championship than those guys were. Because this is mid part of the season as well. Now that could have turned out so poorly. It's turned out poorly for Kev Copeland, meanwhile, for the B team. He is down. He drops down to 20th place there. So we've still got 9 more minutes to go. Almost felt as though we were closer to the end because we've had so much action so far. Mike Horder has plenty of time to pass James Holman. In fact, Horder's got back past Garzotte, hasn't he? Or maybe Garzotte never made the move stick in the end. I'm not quite sure. But Horder's looking ever so quick. He just feels like if he can get some clean air, he could do a whole lot more. McMahon as well has got back past Salt. McMahon back up into 5th place now. Yeah, so he's passed his teammate. He's now got his teammate Matty Chambers a little bit further up as well.
I've been so enthralled in the action that we're seeing, I didn't even realise that Daniel Lee had set the fastest lap of the race. I just assumed it was Powell pulling away. But since Lee's got past Visakopska, he's been gunning it. You can see the gap behind already. He's leaving Visakopska in the dust, which is amazing. We've said how Lee can be the adventureman. This performance, this race, it's anything but. It's a completely solid drive from him. A great move on Visakopska to get back up into second, and now he's putting in the lap times as well. Still 4 seconds behind Powell, which is still balmy. Where this pace from Powell has suddenly manifested from is beyond me. But wow, what a race! And yeah, as you say, there's less than 9 minutes to go now. It's flown by.
He's had a good run of results recently. Yes, Lee's had a 9th, a 3rd, a 9th, a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 9th. And it looks as though he's going to get another 2nd place here. There is John Gordon, the Welshman. And mistake down there, and he's made another mistake, overheating the tyres probably as he hit the wall. You don't get much closer than that. They may have just parked it up right there. Certainly going to be outside of the reverse grid now is Gordon. Here was Carl Jacquelet as well for Year 1 Racing. He's now running in 25th place, and that was very close. 1 to the grass and would have rotated him even further, and 2 to heading down Saddington, who goes up into 21st place now.
That would have been a really cool way to have your first race pan out. Well held from Jacquelet, by the way. He's done really well there to hold it. Oh, just enough for him to squeeze through the Saddington. Can I just point out as well, Mr. Jacquelet, get your livery uploaded. If Clist can do it, you can do it too, Jacquelet. We like seeing those Year 1 liveries on the track, sir.
Apparently it might be showing. Despite the fact that I create the paint pack, I don't think I even have the most recent one uploaded. However, I am seeing on the screen, it is showing. It is showing. So I don't know what paint pack you've got there, Adam. You may need to refresh them.
Uploaded. I must have the same one as you, Sam. Alright, ignore that, Mr. Jacquelet. My apologies to you, sir. The colour's lovely, apparently.
Taj Edwards is coming back now at James Salt. I can't quite put my finger on what's happened to Edwards here. He's kind of just been wait, he's overtaken a couple of guys and he's lost out to a couple of guys. He's actually down 3 places from his start. I'm a bit surprised about, to be honest, especially when Visakopska is in quite a comfortable 3rd place. He seems to have a bit more pace now, does Edwards? If they've got a slow car, they just moved past. That was Carl Jacquelet, in fact. They were just moving past. Edwards not quite with the pace so far in this race. 3rd place in the championship at the moment. But he is looking faster than Salt at the moment.
He is certainly keeping him honest, which is kind of what we're used to with Taj, isn't it? Where he doesn't necessarily make the moves early. He just puts the pressure on until there's an opportunity. He will keep the guy in front right on their toes. Another good drive from him. Still, even though he's in 7th place, we said this last week during the podcast that he's driving well. It's just others around him seem to be doing just that little bit extra. But still another solid performance and getting past Salt. I mean, that's going to be a tough job, but if anyone can do it, certainly Edwards can.
So Horder got past Holman. Not sure if we actually saw that one in the end, but Horder is up into 8th place and is catching these guys, I think. Although I doubt it'll be in time. Here was the replay then. Going into the boot section. Not here. Oh no, Holman's made a mistake, and that was pretty close to the wall there for Holman as well. Not a lot of runoff area for all of this boot section, and Holman was very fortunate there to catch that slide. Horder up into 8th place, still 1 place down from where he started. He's now 1.3 seconds behind Edwards and matched him on that last lap, so not seem like there's going to be any movements on that front. But he has actually still got Holman pretty close behind, half a second. Holman coming back now. He's in the draft, along with Garzotto and Broomfield. Dean Powell still leading the way in the amateur class, by the way, in 12th place. Looking like it could be a good haul of points coming his way.
It could well be. Aaron Powell stretching his gap even more. Nearly 4.5 seconds. We thought that Lee was going to be catching him just a bit, but Powell seems to have responded to that and has put the power back down once more. Again, I've said this twice already. I'm going to say it for a third time. Where has this come from? You know, we spoke about him being the what if guy as many others, and all of a sudden he's found his form, and I'll be interested to see actually if he comes for an interview after the race. Maybe this is a track that he particularly likes. Maybe here we go. We're going to see an onboard lap with him just to see how well he's driving. Seems to be totally in control of that car and totally on top of it.
Certainly does. 4.6 seconds clear of the rest of the order. He's lapping about a second slower than he was earlier on now. The track is warming up quite a bit. Track temperature now up to 36 degrees now is the track temperature. So it's pretty warm after I think it started off at about 20 degrees at the start of practice. But he's been quick throughout, has Powell, and maybe just putting in these laps around his circuit. Is the most owned road circuit of any circuit in all of iRacing. Just wonder if he's been able to put in some extra hours around this place. Maybe it's one of his favourites. Because yeah, Adam's absolutely right. Because so far this season, Powell really hasn't been troubling the podium positions. Apparently, there's a couple of overtakes with Horder just losing out to Holman and Garzotto at the moment. So Horder just down into 10th position. We'll just stick with this lap just to the end. Broomfield as well down into 11th place at the moment.
Yeah, we've seen this from this onboard. It's been neat and tidy. It doesn't even look like he's pushing that hard. It's all flowing for him, isn't it? It's very composed, which is a delight to see. And I'm not surprised when you said that stat there, Sam, about it being the most owned road course. I think it's one of those that appeals to many types of drivers because it's got fast flowing sections, but it's got a little bit of technical in it as well. It is a lot of fun to drive and certainly a rewarding track.
So this was a mistake from Horder. I wonder if Broomfield got involved in this one as well, because it seems as though Broomfield's about 4 seconds off the back of these guys. But there was Horder hard into the wall.
Doesn't seem to have any damage from it though, did he? Done a right number on that wall, but the car still looks in fairly decent shape, although he did lose 2 positions from that. I thought Broomfield was a lot closer.
Yeah,
well.
He must have got like a slowdown or something. Here comes Horder. He tried to go to the outside, maybe to the inside now. It's set to pull the outside, but that's not going to happen for him. Could be pretty far up on the grid at least this for Horder. And we will spin the reverse grid wheel in just a few moments time after this race is complete. And whatever number that lands on, we will reverse grid for a 40-minute second race. It's probably going to be something between 12 and 16 places. So you want to be in that range, and you could well be on reverse grid pole. Here comes Edwards, still trying to get past Orton. That's a nice run, actually, for Edwards. Might have a chance into the toe, but wasn't quite close enough. And it looks like he's going to have to settle for that position, because that's in the lead. And Powell is nearly at the checkered flag. Edwards still around the outside, but Salt just about had it covered. It's going to be another EBUSR Race 1 win. It's not going to be for Tom McMahon, however. It's going to be a first race victory for Aaron Powell, who wins Race 1. at Watkins Glen and in dominating fashion. Lee gets another podium, his fourth of the season. Kopsika will close in the championship in third. Chambers just beats McMahon. No team orders there across the line. Chambers finishes in fourth place. Salt finishes in sixth ahead of Edwards. And it looks as though Dean Powell's done an awesome job at finishing in 11th place, top of the amateur drivers comfortably, and holds off Wolf. He will be very dangerous for the reverse grid. There's still more battles going on. Andrew Becker is one of them in the Indy Autosports car. And he's trying to get past David Nichols at the moment. So anyway, through outside into pretty much all of these corners. Needs to eventually get a nice cutback, but it doesn't look enough like it's going to be enough for him. As I say, he's got him on the end of a string right now, Becker. Trying to get past Nichols. As he goes to the outside, it's going to be a run to the line. Can Becker make it? No, he can't. Nichols wins by 0.003 of a second. That was pretty close right there. I thought that he just about had the run there, did Becker, but didn't happen for him. Cliss will round out the drivers on the lead lap and out of the drivers eligible for points as well. It's pretty astonishing that podium result. I mean, to be fair, Lee and Weiskopska have got podiums so far this season, Adam. But Aaron Powell, as we said a couple of times, a performance out of nowhere. Whilst his Evo SR teammates were struggling, he was dominating.
He was indeed, and from we saw from the onboard, it was very well composed. He wasn't pushing the car too much, and it just seemed all a bit too easy for him. Interesting to see how he fares in race 2, though, when we have this reverse grid wheel. See if he can cut his way through the traffic. But off to a great start for Powell.
And we can go through your finishing results. And here's Aaron Powell winning out for the first time this season. Can't remember if he won a race last season or not. I'm sure. I didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't win a race. I don't think he came close to a race win last season. It just shows how incredible that result is. Daniel Lee finishes in second place. More good points for Lee. Vajstokowska in third. No race win for Vajstokowska, but he's now finished on the podium 6 times, I think, this season. Matthew Chambers in fourth place. Then was Tom McMahon, who maintains the championship lead. James Salt, Charles Edwards, James Holman, Jeffrey Garzotto, Stephen Bloomfield, Dean Powell, top of the amateur drivers. Max Wolf, arguably the favourite race to you, was really quick, up 11 places after a really poor qualifying. Then there's John Derrick, Bob Humphrey, decent recovery for Humphrey, but yeah, 14th place, again, could be in pole. The race winner from Phillip Island race 2, of course. Then it was Mike Horder, finished in 15th place in the end, did Horder. I don't know what happened to him on that last lap. Maybe its damage was really suffering. Then it was Joseph Salt, Derek Holland, Kev Copeland, Dan Saddington on his debut, great result, up 10 places. Brandon Warren up 10 places as well. Jensen Adrianson's disappointing result for him, 13th on the grid. Tom Stevens, amateur championship leader, one of his first setbacks this season. And there's David Nichols, Andrew Becker, Kevin Kitzelman, John Tressida, Ryan Jones, Andre McCullen, Paul Joseph Clist, Carl Jacquelet, John Gordon, and Nick Madsen. The last 3 of them not scoring points. Last 4 of them not scoring points. Hulse didn't even take the start for Simtech. Willie, I think we have the reverse grid wheel now. Enjoy spinning it.
Yeah, hello everybody. And we've got the reverse grid wheel here. And we'll spin it. And let's see where it comes to rest. It will land on 16.
16, which would mean Joseph Saul will be on pole position. I think that's the most we could have had. 16. Oh no, we could have had a little bit more, I think. But still, 16 is quite a bit. Just saw on pole position then. Mike Horder alongside him on the front row of the grid. Bob Humphrey, John Deck, Max Wolf is your top 5. So will be a tough one to call, no doubt. The B team driver of Saul starting from pole position and we'll be back with you on Apex Racing TV in about 15 minutes for race 2 of the evening in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Do not miss it. Welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship, live on Apex Racing TV, and now live on the iRacing Esports Network. Apologies to those guys who were, I'm sure, patiently waiting on the Esports Network for Race 1. You join us for Race 2. Race 1 was won by Aaron Powell, with Daniel Lee and Nick Weiss-Kopsika in second and third places. We then spun 16 on the reverse grid wheel, and that means that for this Race 2, it's Joseph Saul, who is the pole sitter with Mike Horder in second place, Bob Humphrey, John Derek, Max Wolf, Dean Powell, Stephen Broomfield, Jeffrey Garzotto, James Holman, and Taj Edwards, the top 10 for you, and the rest of the order will go through as well for you. Tom McMahon starting in 12th place, similar place to that 11th as well in race 1. Adam, there's plenty of drivers out of position at the front of this reverse grid race. Any favourites you got out there going into this race too?
I want to be totally unbiased and say Mike Horder, if he can get the jump on Soul at the start, he looked like he had some pace in race 1, didn't he? A little flash of it before he hit the wall. So maybe Horder to get a little bit of a jump. I want to see how Weiss-Kopsika can overcome McMahon, if at all, in this race. They both need to come through the field to get some serious points for their championships.
Before that turn 1 as well, we almost saw a safety car needed in race 1. Hopefully we don't see the same in this race 2. So there's a Saul on the pole position. The Mustang pace car comes into the pits, and we are away racing for 40 minutes of action at Watkins Glen. Looks as though Horder might be overtaken by Humphrey straight away. Here comes Humphrey in the Porsche, getting past into turn 1. Can Horder stay around the outside? It's a little bit of curve for the Evo SR car, however, he still makes it through. Broomfield gets past Dean Powell and also Tom McMahon up a couple of places. That's really big for the championship leader. At the moment, it's all right with the Evo SR boys going side by side a little bit further up. I think McMahon, perhaps, Sultan Powell, I believe it was, who were alongside just going up the hill as they head into the bus stop. And straight away into the lead is Bob Humphrey, and it's a very poor run for Joseph Saul, who causes a massive slow up to the bus stop. There was no way past for Mike Horder on that occasion, and Humphrey got the run through turn 1. It looks as though Saul got a slide up the hill. It compromised his run down the back straight, and now it's Bob Humphrey who won race 2 at Phillip Island, who leads race 2 now at Watkins Glen, and Saul is really bottling up a lot of drivers behind. There goes Horder though, around the outside. He carried an immense amount of speed on the exit, on the entry to the corner. However, it wasn't enough for him on the exit. He just understeered wide. Behind him, John Derek trying to gain a place. Broomfield has gained another place. It looks as though Dean Powell is dropping down the order, if anything. Horder tries again, and this time he has the inside line for the third to final corner, and this time he is past. However, it's taken him a couple too many corners because already Bob Humphrey has opened up a 1.5 second lead.
He has indeed. Saul seems to be struggling with his tyre. Something not quite right with that car. He couldn't just get it settled at all. And Horder took him 3 attempts to go around the outside of him. Oh, his contact in the background. Who was that? John Derek.
Oh, we got another one as well. That was one the Gold Racing team does. And another big flip. And we got Madsen round as well. So lots of drivers involved. Once again, we're close to a safety car, but they're pretty much scattered. And it's another incident for Nick Madsen. Taj Edwards was the driver involved with the Gold Racing team. Quite the best angle to see that one from. But Holland as well had to tow back to the pit, so drivers all over the field.
Odd place for that to happen as well. We're used to seeing it through the S's. But again, they're running so tight and the walls are so close that as soon as there is a little incident, bang, everyone gets involved. But fortunately, it was towards the back of the pack, really. So, the minimal drivers were involved in it. But what it has meant, of course, is that the guys in the front half of the field have managed to pull away and create a bit of a gap. We're going to see a replay now and see exactly what happened.
Well, this will be pretty good from Edwards. There, that's a go for Derek. So we'll now see what happened to Derek then just ahead. He got a slight tap. 145. And yeah, Edwards with no and reacted really shit. Oh, and then Edwards just didn't hold the brakes enough, did he? And another drag going by, and then just trying to avoid as well behind Madsen. Got sent into the wall. Oh, I swear Madsen is the most lucky driver in one race unlike he does in AOL history, and that's quite an accomplishment. And it was for Edwards, yeah, no chance.
Just see him just edging out to the outside. He had to because he had a car on the inside, but yeah, I'm surprised he didn't hold the brakes. I thought that he would have known to do that. You know, we put a lot of stock into Edwards and his driving abilities. It's sad to see that he didn't hold his brakes there, and that essentially caused the second part of that whole incident.
So we'll get a fast repair at least for Edwards. I don't think Madsen's towing time will be too long, seeing that he was just outside the pit lane. But still, their competitive race is absolutely wrecked there. It was for Madsen's view then.
That's unfortunate. Oh god. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. It looked like he cleared it, and then a car wandered across. I'm not quite sure who that was. Humphrey's got issues. He's got a slide on there. Horder's right up to the back of him. What's happened to Bob Humphrey? Looked like his car was screwing about all over the place. Horder again, we saw this in the first lap, trying to go around the outside, trying to get a run up the hill. Looks like he's got it right this time. Going to have a much better drive out of the corner. Humphrey trying to squeeze him. Going to try and keep the inside line for the next right-hander. Is Horder going to hold it to the outside? He does. Humphrey making him work for it though, but it means that Horder's going to the inside as we come back up the hill. Oh, Humphrey's he's really making Horder work for this, isn't he? Side by side all the way through this section. This is marvellous.
And Humphrey somehow stays ahead. That was all over, I thought. Going into the third final corner, and yeah, a really good amount of speed carried by Humphrey. And Horder not quite with the clinical overtaking at the moment. He couldn't get past Saul for a few corners on lap one. It cost him some time, and now this battle with Humphrey is losing time as well because McMahon is up into third position now. And just lapped half a second faster. He has to get past straight away. He's 1.8 seconds clear. This is reminiscent of Humphrey versus Lee back at Barcelona, when we knew that as Lee was faster. He needed to get past. Here comes Horder again. He's got a lot of overspeed. He's got his car ahead as well. But it's going to be Banzai round the outside. Can he make it? Yes, he can. It's an awesome move from the Welshman. He takes the lead of this race, Mike Horder, the first time he's led a race all season long. And that was not easy. And credit to Bob Humphrey as well for leaving some space. And now Horder's got to really put his foot to the floor.
Wow, that was a ballsy move to say the least, wasn't it? You've got to have a serious amount of courage to throw one up the inside going into the bus stop, but he made it work. And as you said, Humphrey was kind enough to just leave him just enough space. You see Garzotto getting involved in a good old scrap down in the midfield as well. He's had these trials and tribulations, but when he's out on track, he never leaves anything out there, does he? He always gives it everything he's got, and unfortunately that time around, he wasn't quite enough to get past.
That's him behind Bicycopsko. Bicycopsko up 3 places. Oh, but there we are with Garzotto, and that was, wow, okay. What's that Bicycopsko get past those drivers? It may be.
I think so, yeah. Lee's trying to follow him through as well.
Lee is now behind Garzotto, so I think a little bit more happened as well. Crazy lap for those drivers. Another fast lap of the race for McMahon. Meanwhile, Bloomfield's going to be overtaken by Powell. And this is strange to say because usually we would be seeing Powell and McMahon in opposite positions right now, Adam. But I can't feel so Powell has a clean bit of track. He could maybe even challenge for the race win. He's 6.5 seconds off the lead at the moment.
Anything's possible, yeah, absolutely. And as we've seen with this track, one little incident can lose you anything up to a second at a time. So, if you've got a group behind you, you could slow the whole train up, and that would allow anyone behind just to catch up that little bit more. That's why I love this track so much. It ebbs and flows, and no race is the same here. The track kind of lends itself to I want to say mistakes, but you want to attack it so hard because of the way the corners are, the amount of camber that's on it. But with that comes those mistakes, and that's what keeps the racing so close here, and that's why it's so brilliant.
Really just mentioning how fantastic it looks on screen. I think that's the fantastic cameras that someone used. All these angles really are absolutely fantastic. So special thanks to the guy who made these cameras. It does also look very nice with the sunset. It's late afternoon. It's getting cooler out there. Oh, that's a jeez. That was painfully so. Max Wolf um, is involved in this one, but we've also got Holman, Saul just ahead in 5th place, and also Howe and James Salts as well. And that was really slow. Saul manages to pull away. Now Holman having to go defensive. Spent much of race 1 in 5th place. Remember, did Holman fell back in the closing stages to help his starting position, however, for this race 2. And we've also got Salt now alongside Broomfield. Salt trying to shove out Broomfield here. He stays around the outside. He's got the better run here. Needs to make sure he doesn't understeer into his rival. And looks like Broomfield might just have that one. They are dead level. Meanwhile, Dean Power trying to come back at James Holman. You'd expect Holman to be the faster driver, but that's tell that to Dean Power because he's trying to come back. Salt stays ahead of Broomfield as well.
That's exactly what I said just a few moments ago, wasn't it? There was an incident at the front of this pack towards the end of the last lap. It just closed everything back up, and they were going 2 wide, 3 wide, 2 rows deep. Brilliant racing. And they're keeping it clean, which is the important thing. Notably, at the front, McMahon put in the fastest lap of the race again, but he's only taken 2/10 a lap out of order. So the gap is still there, but it's getting closer.
How wide? It's a good exit though. Whenever you're on the outside coming out of corner, you need to get the best exit, but that is very good braking there from James Salt. Powell sees them, and now Powell's merging together. That was mega lucky that they didn't go spinning off into the wall. That was the opposite of netcode almost. And Salt is past now. So he's past Dean Powell. Next up is Broomfield and Aaron Powell. Again, the two Powells close to one another on circuit, a theme that we've seen for much of this season, something that we didn't see at all last season. And Vice got onto the back of these guys. Also, Garzotman, Lee, and Chambers as well. What a competitive lineup this is.
It is indeed. We see McMahon right on the back now of Humphrey. Is that Humphrey just going to pull over, let him through? Oh, he is, you know. He is. That's it. McMahon up into 2nd place, chasing down Horder now. That was well, that answered one of our questions, didn't it? From last week in our podcast, whether team orders would come in. I'm totally ignoring what Woody's just said to me about boosted. I didn't totally ignore that. But yeah, the fight is on for Horder now. He needs to pedal and pedal as quickly as he possibly can.
McMahon might be able to outscore Vizsacovsky. He would certainly, if it ended like this, of course Vizsacovsky got plenty of time to gain some places. But a meeting that was looking so poor for the EVSR driver. Looks like he might still get a race win out of it. Has won a race at each of the 4 meetings so far this season. Get 5 out of 5 for him. Vizsacovsky still in 11th place. Can't get past Powell, but to be fair, Powell is probably the fastest driver out on the circuit, along with Lee, to be fair. We're lightning in very time. In fact, Lee just behind Vizsacovsky right now. He's trying to get past Garzotto, although he is still behind Vizsacovsky. He's trying to slot in behind, but this is painful for Aaron Powell right now. He's losing so much time. He's in the 46s when he could probably be in the 43s right now. Because Aaron Powell, he just cannot get past the car of Stephen Broomfield because Broomfield's not slow, but then Broomfield's stuck behind Dean Powell, who is slightly slower, but none of them are quick enough over one another to make the move at the moment. There goes Powell down the inside. That is a very bold move. Danny Rick ends with the dummy almost, and Broomfield will try to take advantage of this. He's not close enough, but that was ever so close.
That was incredibly late, but Broomfield, he saw it, didn't he? And you could just see how he opened up his steering just to allow that space, so there wasn't any contact. Vizsacovsky was trying to make the most out of that, but couldn't quite get himself up alongside. It's interesting, isn't it, with Broomfield? We saw him a couple of rounds ago defending like an absolute champ for what seemed to be the entire evening. And I thought it was going to be very much the same again from him. But yeah, Powell with a very late move and a very good move down into turn 1.
if you got the live timing link up, which you can load up in the description below, you can see from 7th down to 15th is all red. Just all red, which indicates it's very close. There you can see it on the timings now for yourself. Just how mega close it is. Powell has got past Saul. Oh, Saul is dropping down. And I think Dean Powell as well. No, Dean Powell's all right, but Joseph Saul, who started from pole position, was defending well. Oh, look how close it was. B-team driver. Is this a self-mistake or has he been helped? Oh, it was a massive lunge from Aaron Powell behind and on Dean Powell, and it's taken out Joseph Saul. And that will undoubtedly be a penalty, I think, for Aaron Powell after the race. He does gain a couple of places at least.
That was well, from a long way back. I just think he outbroke himself, and I feel really bad for Sol there. Innocent bystander. Powell just trying to get on the brakes late, trying to force a move, and when you're braking that hard in these cars, you need to be right on the money, and it seemed that he was shortchanged there as he flew into the side of Sol.
Daniel Lee isn't past Gazot, so these two have been glued to one another for a little while. Dean Powell then still leader of the amateur drivers then. Just getting a couple of places in all of that. I think he's really overtaken many drivers in this race. I think the couple of drivers who he has overtaken have been teammates, but here is another one. That's actually Paul Bliss, to be fair, who is a lap down, close in his first race of the season. I can see him out there, but has been involved in something, I imagine. Certainly not that slow to be already a lap down and to give up many track position at the moment. So yeah, we've got Vysokovska then behind Powell, pretty much pace order right now. So any moves from here on in are going to be quite tough because we've kind of got some very quick drivers out in front. Also, I'd just like to say Max Hall up in 4th place. He had an awful qualifying, a pretty good big one, and he's been very under the radar, but running very comfortably in 4th place.
He is much better back to form for him. Let's see Garzotto. What does he do here? Oh, he just dropped the rear end. Oh, Lee trying to avoid going on the
good
grass.
avoidance.
That was brilliant from Lee. Garzotto, just hold your brakes there. Oh, too eager to get back onto the track, but the adventurer hits the grass and avoids it beautifully. Let's see the onboard from Garzotto now. Such a tricky corner this, and so easy to do. Just a little bit too much speed. Oh, his lead. The adventurer goes mountaineering over the curve and avoids it brilliantly.
Chambers went the other way, which is probably the better way, but we had a choice in the match, to be fair. It was Chambers on the outside, and I imagine he thought that he was going to gain at least one place in this situation. Turned out to just be maintaining that position. Got lost in there with a mistake, and Gold Racing Team fortunately came into this round. I think in 3rd place in the championship, 4th place in the championship. Going to help their points haul at the moment. Mike Calder, half a second ahead at the moment of Tom McMahon. McMahon now within draft range, but that graph is quite positive for Horder. You can see over the last 5 laps, or 6 laps, he's lost on average about a 1/10 of a second per lap, which will give him hope that he should be able to keep McMahon behind for a bit. The problem is he's got 22 minutes to keep him behind.
I don't think he necessarily needs to keep him behind. He just needs to keep with him. They're comfortably ahead of Humphrey. Humphrey seems to be falling away little by little, and they've got a big gap back to Wolf afterwards. So I don't think losing first position is such a big issue at this moment in time because he's got the pace to stick with him.
So I just saw Lee dropping down, still dropping down. In fact, is Daniel Lee. This was another instant, I think, with Jacqueline, which was just behind. That's Chessida, I believe, going down the inside, and Jacqueline keeping that one seemingly. In 16th place at the moment. He's 2 places behind Lee, as it seems as though we have now found the Daniel Lee incident because he's dropped behind Powell, Chambers, and Copeland, I believe, at the moment. Ooh. Ow.
That's a big shunt into the wall. Did he just lose it on the way in? Did it look? It looked like he had a little bit of a twitch on under braking. I wonder if he just was too eager on the accelerator and not enough on the brake, and it just twitched by the looks of it, didn't it?
Well, I know DFS is back open now, because they've been selling a lot of cushions to that barrier, because I swear you can hit that extremely hard and not get any damage from it, because he's still on his way, and we saw that many times in race 1. McMahon onto the back of Horder. I'm just hoping that an SCC driver crashes into that route, because then I can make an SCS go. It'd be quite funny. So, fingers crossed. Horder.
Sorry, you go.
Well, no, I wasn't really going to say anything. You go ahead on this.
Was he involved in that first lap incident, maybe, which is why he was lapped out?
Certainly some sort of incident. I don't remember him in that first lap one, but he probably was. Salt's past Holman, by the way. Salt's into 5th. He scored podiums as Salt. Well, not podiums, but he scored top 5s as Salt. At every... He scored a 4th, a 3rd, and a 3rd. And a no score in the race 2 so far this season. He's pretty much been the best driver in the race 2 so far this season as Salt. And he's backing that up once again. He's up into 5th.
That just reminded me, actually. Remember at the end of race 1, you were talking about Powell, and he certainly hadn't won a race in this league. His best, from what I can see last season, was race 2 at Le Mans, where he got himself a 3rd place.
Of course, yeah, that got him 3rd in the championship as well.
You're right. Yes, it did. Yeah, because it went down to that.
With
down to that
Greenfield,
race,
I
didn't it?
think. Maybe vice Kopska, not quite sure. But yeah, his best result so far this season is 5th. So, if you put a bet on that, then you're winning a decent amount of money. There it goes. It's that Holman. Apologies. Yeah, that's Holman on Powell. Apologies, that's Powell on Holman, and he is passed. He is passed now. Vice Kopska as well onto the back of these guys. 4/10 of a second, just behind.
Yeah, Lisa Kopska needs to keep Powell in check. Oh, Horder kicked up a bit of dirt. We come back to the lead battle. McMahon right over that gearbox. And funnily enough, they're still pulling away from Humphrey. It's about a 10th of lap. McMahon looking to the inside, throws it up there. Horder gives him loads of room. Horder knows what's going on here. Like I said earlier, I think he's just going to be happy to sit behind McMahon now and enjoy the pace that McMahon seems to have.
Yeah, no attempt at an overtake into that. So yeah, that does seem to be the case. Tom McMahon back into the lead then, and it looks as though 60 points may well be coming his way after a disappointing race 1. Much better in race 2. Kev Copeland though, his troubles haven't ended. And that was into the wall. See if he's got too much damage from that. That's alright, was straight into the nose. It will be a little bit slow down the pit straight, down the streets now.
I have to admit, these cars seem to be a whole lot more robust than they did a couple of weeks ago at the Le Mans 24 Hours. They seem to be made of sterner stuff tonight. There's a few times I've seen people hit the barriers and go nosediving into tyres, but they're able to carry on. I don't say that begrudgingly at all. after we crashed out of Le Mans. But you know,
Were you
40
the
minutes
one
in
who-
and we got abused by an HPD.
Were you? No, okay. It was someone else then who got deliberately wrecked at. Well, I think that was one of the year one cars, somewhere.
Oh yeah, I saw the video for that.
Vysokopsika, he manages to put Holman offline, and that is good job there from Make. Holman completely offline for that entire bus stop, and Vysokopsika just about managed to find a way past it up into 7th place, and this has been one of his best meetings so far this season. Maybe hasn't been as fast as he was at Le Mans, where he managed to get 2nd place in race 1. Oh, we've got a driver off the circuit. That's a lapped down driver of Ryan Jones. Almost with a brake failure. That looked like it was wild one.
It did, yeah. I'm still smiling at Holman there, frantically flashing his lights at Vysokopsika. I don't know whether out of frustration that he'd been sold a doozy going into the bus stop, or whether he felt that he wasn't given enough room or such like. But yeah, you could see the frustration from Holman in his headlights. McMahon managed to get about half a second on Horder. Horder seems to be struggling through that last few corners. Doesn't seem to be as quick there. First half of the lap, though, for sure, he seems to be right on it still.
I must say, even in the season which I won a championship, because I won a championship, I always struggled around that final corner. No matter what I tried. I hate going near the wall. I'm absolutely terrified of hitting it. Of course, didn't deny me winning the championship, but you know, even gods do make mistakes. Horder almost straight lines to the bus stop. He certainly got a round of applause from Andrew Woodhouse there, because he managed to get the gap from about half a second to quarter of a second, and he's keeping himself in play. 14.5 minutes to go. Let's wait to see. Maybe if he tries to make a mistake from now to the tricky part.
It seems a bit of a weird thing to say, but we know McMahon has got a mistake in him. So maybe Horder is just gonna just keep the pressure on. They're still pulling away from Humphrey. They're 3.5 seconds ahead now, and a long way back to Wolf behind that. So yeah, I just wonder if he's just going to try and push him along a little bit, force him into a mistake, and take that position back. Not bad for a boosted motorsport straggler. As they were once referred
to. Gazotto gets him past Tom Stevens. Amateur Championship leader is Tom Stevens. This is perhaps going to be his drop round, because he didn't finish race 1. No, I think he did. I think he got like 20th or something. It's not a good round of the championship for Stevens, and a championship that he was kind of dominating from the past couple of rounds. After getting a 4th place, even at, or 5th place, maybe in 5th place, at Phillip Island race 2, scored a lot of points, but a little bit more adrift now after today. Horder gets gap down to 4/10 of a second. Let's see if he can nail this bus stop, because, I mean, you can flick it one time, but doing it twice is a bit more tricky. It does take a lot of that second curve, but this time he actually loses time to do the bus stop, so McLaren just extends that lead a little bit.
It was 4th for Stevens at race 2. Good old trusty note, but your spreadsheet might have all the bells and whistles, but mine has all the ink. I don't even know what that means. My notebook has these things. Yeah. One of those things that sounds great in your head, and when you actually say it, you think, oh, did I really just say that?
I'm almost thinking now, should I just like pour some ink over my monitor? Would that somehow make it better, according to your statement?
That just reminds me of Spaceballs when the radar gets jammed, and there's raspberry jam flowing down his monitor screen. Oh, what a great film that was.
Once again, along with Battlestar Galactica, my sci-fi knowledge lets me down. Right there.
For those that can't hear Andrew Woodhouse, he's making some rather funny statements about Sam right now. He's making me giggle throughout this entire broadcast. And I do apologise.
Problem is,
Bad influence, easily
Woody
led
can
astray.
say whatever he likes, talking to us. And meanwhile, we can't just say random stuff to respond to his statements. So this is very much a one-way thing at the moment. Oh, Satsite driver off Nichols. Very good livery on that. I think that might be a new livery for him. The door of that car looks very nice.
Door.
The door? What? Come on. What's wrong with that? The side of the car, alright then. Jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's absolutely ruined me. I- I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
The thing is though, Woody, if you actually had the car cameras downloaded, then you wouldn't be able to see that. There's Matty Chambers dipping a wheel onto the grass. And that has dropped him to 14th. He was ahead of Daniel Lee in 11th. Chambers trying to come back now at Adjinson's. Adjinson's a little bit under the radar. He's into second place out of the amateur drivers as we try to compose ourselves as professionals in the commentary booth. It's actually turned relatively white now in the timing tower. Not a whole lot of close battles, but a couple of duels. This is actually a four-way battle here with Jacqueline, Tressida, Saddington, and Garzotto. Garzotto, remember, with the spin earlier on, trying to come back through the order.
Yeah, this is the closest battle we have on the track at the moment. Saddington doing a sterling job, all things considered. You know, it's his first night as we see poor Garzotto getting real close. Did he just give him a little nudge maybe? Saddington goes a long way out. Garzotto parks on the outside of P1. I wonder if he's had some real issues there. Saddington lost the back of these two now because of it. Everyone maybe just got a little bit of a nudge there. Tressida strongly in the toe though with Jacqueline, isn't it? Quite a night for Tressida. I feel we usually see a little bit more of him, but yeah, it seems a bit of a quite night. Second Adrianson's actually. I can't remember anything notable in race one from him either.
I think Tressida went off in race one. But Adrianson's, I really don't remember anything. I think he got involved in the lap one incident. Did Adrianson's in race one? Dropped down a bit, and then after that, a very dull race. McMahon, this is turning into a slightly more calm race for him now. He's 1.5 seconds ahead of Mike Horder, just edging out that gap lap by lap. 44.28 for McMahon that last tour. 44.36 for Horder, so about a tenth of a second difference. But he's broken the draft now, and he's well on course for what would be his sixth race victory of the season. I believe it would be his sixth race victory of the season, out of only 10 races. Which is a crazy stat when you think about it. 60% win rate. Also retired from one of the races that he didn't win as well. So no, it's been very good for him so far this season.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be back to form after a very tricky first race and of course an abysmal qualifying by his standards. But now he is back out in front. Interestingly, Horder, only a tenth slower, but it's grinding him, isn't it? It's a tenth, 2 tenths, a tenth. It's one of those things that you just can't get back. Unfortunately for Horder, he is dropping back, although he does still maintain a gap back to Humphrey, who's holding a good third place at the moment. Oh, we're going side by side now. Taj Edwards getting involved as well. Saddington backing right out of that. He didn't want any part of that. Maybe if this was his third or fourth race in the league, he might have given it a little bit more oomph going into it, but backed right out of it. And that's Edwards and Stevens clearing them up into 17th and 18th respectively.
Maybe the first time that Edwards has finished outside the top 10 in a race 2 so far this season. Has got a couple of 11th places so far this championship. The winner from Le Mans race 2, actually, a couple of weeks ago. But he's yet to retire from a meeting, at least, is able to. He has always got some decent points at each of these meetings. Trying to get 17th place right now from Stevens. And he is past. Now, Tressida should be able to catch him past. Before you got Jacqueline and Tressida, because Adjinson's is 10 seconds up the road. That's not going to happen with 6.5 minutes to go. But 2 more places, certainly possible for Edwards just to recover. Remember, 3rd place in the championship going into this round. And this championship kind of just ebbing away from him at the moment. He hasn't had any bad results, like I said, but just losing on average about 20 points per meeting. And that gap to Vice-Kopsika and McMahon certainly going to be much larger by the end of today's meeting. Might even fall behind Humphrey, I imagine, in the championship. Humphrey and Salt, I think, might be able to clear him, and Wolf as well, with Wolf running very high in 4th place at the moment. Powell in up into 5th place. He's keeping Salt and Vice-Kopsika behind him at the moment. Salt's, of course, overtaken by Powell earlier on in the event, and they're only 1.5 seconds behind Wolf. On that last lap, they managed to close in by about 0.4 of a second. This could be close, potentially, with these 4. I imagine Salt will quite happily stay behind Powell in a bid to tow themselves up to the Dutch driver.
It seems that way, doesn't it? It was only a couple of laps ago you were saying how the field was quite spread out, and at that time it was. But these 3 seem to have just been quietly going about their laps, getting closer together. But they're not trying to force anything. I think they all realise that they can catch up with Powell just up ahead. Yeah, interesting to see how this one plays out. Just under 5 minutes to go now. Wow, this race seems to have gone even quicker than the first one. I remember looking at the clock and we was 10 minutes in, thinking, blimey, that's flown by, and here we are with less than 5 minutes to go. McMahon, just looking at the times again, 3.1 seconds ahead of Porter now. I wonder if Porter had an issue last time round, maybe, because that's a whole chunk of his race.
Slower. Max Humphrey, that's yeah, much slower than McMahon. By the way, these 3 guys are all the same pace as McMahon. Bit of a shame that McMahon never really got to battle against Powell, because I think Powell, Salt, maybe Vice-Kopsika. Vice-Kopsika didn't really have a whole lot of pace with there in race 1. But Lee as well, McMahon, it would be nice to kind of see them all go against one another. Instead, a couple of them have done well in race 1, a couple of them done well in race 2. And of course, Lee, with the damage he got earlier on as well, hitting the wall, very much jeopardised ever since then. Powell is just dropping Salt out of his tow. We think Powell does have a small advantage over Salt, and the gap's just up to 0.7 of a second now. I imagine if Wolf wasn't ahead of them, Powell might just keep Salt in this draft in a bid to keep Vice-Kopsika behind. But I think he really wants to get past Wolf, because he's got that gap down to 1 second now. Here comes Edwards. It was only a matter of time till he was going to catch up to Tressida. I think it's only a matter of time till he gets past Tressida as well. He gets a very nice cutback move going through the toe.
Tressida taking the middle ground there, making Taj decide what side he wants to go. Throws it up the inside now as they go down the right-hander. Tressida just gives him the room. Oh, he is coming back, isn't he? He's still fighting back. He's Tressida taking the inside line, making Edwards go the long way round. Edwards is going to be hating this right now. Kind of felt like he got the job done sort of 3 or 4 corners ago, but Tressida fighting him tooth and nail, and Edwards just kind of compounds the whole evening for him, really, doesn't it? Just struggling to get past Tressida, although he does get a much better run that time by. I think this is done now, going down into turn 1. I don't think Tressida's going to be able to defend. And no, he doesn't. Edwards through and up into 16th place.
We also had Salt versus Vice-Kopsika for a split second there, side by side, I think, taking to the chicane. Here it was, Porsche versus Porsche. Just as Powell catches up to Wolf as well. Vice-Kopsika, he kind of backed out of it, and then I think getting a slowdown surely did Vice-Kopsika there. Seems to have, maybe not actually. He's still only 0.4 of a second behind. Meanwhile, Wolf is leading about 3/4 of a second a lap right now to Aaron Powell. Powell has got 2 more laps to go, I think. We've got 1 minute 40 on the clock, and it's a 1 minute 44 lap. So actually, this is going to be the last lap of the race that they're approaching, because McMahon just crosses the line, and it looks as though we're going to miss out on an extra lap by approximately 5 seconds. So this is the lap that he's got to get it done then, pal. His best chance will probably be going into the bus stop, I imagine. But to make that move, he's got to line it up going into turn 1, but he's going to go for it straight away. There he goes, Aaron Powell, and he moves up into 4th place. Might well get a penalty later on in the event for contact early on. But still, a 1st and a 4th for him is a fantastic effort. Here comes Wolf trying to come back in the draft. This is the danger of going for the move into into turn 1, and look who's on the scene as well. Salt and Bicycopsica catching up to these guys quick. Wolf with really good overspeed around the outside into the bus stop, and he comes back again. Second time I think we've seen that move so far today, and it's Wolf who moves back up into 4th place, and that will really shock and anger Aaron Powell right there, because he had the pace on him, arguably went for the move too early on that occasion. Bicycopsica trying to gain a couple of places. These points would be absolutely huge for him to get, but there's no way past Salt here. Goes to the outside, and the run isn't good enough for him. Let's say it will just be Powell versus Wolf. McMahon as well approaching the line. We've only got 12 more seconds on the clock, and I'm waiting for the checker flag icon just to come up against the timing tower, because Tom McMahon is approaching the final corner, maybe even just slows down a little bit to make sure it is the final lap. It is the final lap, and it will be win number 6 of the season for Tom McMahon, back on the top step of the podium. Behind him, Horder and Humphrey finishing in 2nd and 3rd. Wolf versus Powell. Is there going to be a run to the line? No, there isn't. Wolf deserves that 4th place. It was an awful qualifying, qualified outside the top 20, but he ends up in 4th place by the end of the 2nd race of the evening. Edwards has dropped down. Edwards trying to get past Jacqueline. This was 4th and 15th place, and he's made contact once again, and that is why Taj Edwards has dropped to 20th place now. Also, there's been an issue for John Tressida. Where is Tressida? He's behind. Tressida's in the gravel trap. Not a gravel trap in real life anymore. That'd be tarmac now, and Tressida will be ruining the fact that iRacing still haven't rescanned this place, and he drops to 21st right at finish.
What a great last lap that was with Wolf and Co. That was quite breathtaking, to be honest. We're gonna see what happened to Tressida now. He just loses the rear end. Does he keep it out the wall? Nah, little donk into the wall, and then it seems to take the longest arc round to get it back on the track. I wasn't expecting him to go that far off, but he got the car back on the track. Such a shame as well, because he was involved in some great little scraps in that race as well. So yeah, big shame for Tressida.
That's when you need a traction control toggle button there. Just turn traction control off and do a nice 180, because that was very much an elongated tour. Go back onto circuit. There was Broomfield, who's finished this race in 10th place, but behind Powell, and I think that was a back marker who got past him as well. So Powell finishes in 9th, and Broomfield then in 10th. He stayed ahead of Lee though somehow, despite missing the front parts of his car. No disrespect to Broomfield, but it wouldn't be a race from him without a little bit of a mistake. He has driven much better in the Ferrari, but similar to Le Mans, just a spin in this race too. Tom McMahon finishes then on the top side of the podium, the 126 car, his 6th race victory of the season. Mike Horder in 2nd place. Bob Humphrey rounds out the podium. By the way, that's Horder's by far best result of the season, so congrats to him. Max Wolf finishes in 4th, 14 seconds off the lead. Aaron Powell, oh dear, he'll be ruining that final lap for a little while, I imagine. In 5th, there's James Salt in 6th. Make Visokopska could have been a bit more for Visokopska, and that is a few points that he's lost out there. And I think he's lost points to McMahon today. despite looking like a faster driver. So painful for the German there in second place in the championship. Holman finishes in 8th, there's Dean Powell, and Stephen Broomfield rounding out the top 10. Behind that was Daniel Lee, Matty Chambers, Jensen Adjinsons, John Gordon, Carl Jacquelet, Tom Stevens, Dan Saddington, Andrew Becker, Taj Edwards, David Nichols, John Chessida, Kev Copeland, Joseph Saul, Andre McCullen, Kevin Kitzelman, Derek Holland, Brandon Warren, Joseph Clist, and the retirements were Jeffrey Galzotte, Ryan James, and John Dirk and Nick Madsen. Madsen, who was mentioning how unlucky he is in this championship, and there's no doubt about that, because he has had plenty of misfortune so far this season. We're going to have a talk with a couple of the judges who somehow jumped into the wrong interview waiting area. I mean, come on, guys. Anyway, we will first talk with Tom McMahon, who is in the comms box with us right now. Congratulations, Tom. We've got to start on the negative side of today. Qualifying. You've qualified on the front row of the grid every race so far this season, and then out of nowhere, you qualify 11th. What was that about?
Well, I don't know if you remember, I did say I don't like Watkins.
We do remember that, to be fair.
No, but that was lap 1 was just really cautious. Lap 2 and 3, I off-tracked. Lap 3, I spun. So lap 4, I had to get just something in, and I made a catalogue of errors anyway. But yeah, I thought I'd completely screwed the whole round up. I thought I was going to be in serious trouble.
But in race 1, you make your way up through the order. A couple of close calls as well. I think he hit the wall. How much damage was there on the car after hitting the wall in the final corner?
I think because it's that tyre barrier, I think I escaped. I might have been down a little bit in a straight line, but yeah, if it was a metal barrier, again, that would have been race over. It was just, I just kept making really sloppy mistakes. I couldn't get the car turning in right. And if I turned too much, then it was oversteer. And yeah, it wasn't an enjoyable car track combination for me this week.
And then in race 2, you've got quite a bit of a task on your hands, but you managed to really escalate the order very quickly. You're up into 3rd position by within a couple of laps, and that seemed to make you race because you were a few places ahead of Powell and Salt and Bicycopsica. How did you get so far up? Did you, because there was a big crash on lap 1 through the final corner, I think. Were you clear of that, or did you gain some places from that?
No, I was clear of that. I got a really good jump, and then I was pretty punchy on car. Everyone's obviously rightfully so, quite cautious on cold tires. And I just wanted to make up because I knew in this round it was the first time that I was kind of starting in front of people who just had quicker race pace. So Aaron, who in our team we've always joked is sensationally quick at Watkins for whatever reason. So I wanted to get sort of far up the order as quick as I could. And then, yeah, it kind of just turned out okay. I realized we had a pretty good gap as I was catching Bob. So he kindly didn't make it too hard for me. And then I think it was Mike Corder was who I was catching. And it was just a case of, I could see I was a couple of tenths quicker. So just don't rush it. We had such a big gap that there's no need to do anything silly. And then as I got a bit closer, got a little bit more aggressive and yeah, got through and got away.
You outscore Make, I think, today by a handful of points, despite the fact that Make was well clear of you in race 1. It means that your championship lead is probably up to about 25 points. When you don't take into consider the drop ground, when you do take into consider the drop ground, you're much further clear. Is that going to change how you drive now to the end of the season to try to protect that lead? Are you going to be having a different mentality?
I don't think so. Just keep doing what I've been doing. Keep putting the practice in during the week. The only time that it will change is where if the drop score gets out sort of past a decent gap, then I can be sort of a little bit more aggressive. But just keep doing the same thing. This round was very much just get the points in. Don't have a DNF because that's what really kind of hurt me from Silverstone. So it's just a case of get the points, keep clean, I prefer Spa, so that hopefully will be just a better pace overall. But some drivers might need that as well. And yeah, and I was just super pumped for the team because obviously Aaron got his, I think, debut win. Adam will know in the notebook. He'll know if that was
Yep,
his.
it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, super pumped for him, super pumped for the team because we got, I think, first and fifth. So that's really good for our team battle as well.
Definitely. Congratulations, Tom, on your sixth race victory of the season. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Again, just the EVOSR boys for the practice that we put in to get us relatively up to speed. And again, you guys, it's an awesome league. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to the stream watching it back.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us. And best of luck next week.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
For a moment there. By the way, I'd just like to say, Tom McMahon complimenting your notebook, Adam. Totally unacceptable. I mean, look, have a look at the spreadsheet. I mean, it's dear me.
So, someone needs to tell him that when he watches the broadcast tomorrow or tonight, whenever he's going to watch it, he's just going to be faced with a giggling Adam all evening. So it's
Yeah,
not much to
absolute
not
wreck
much to watch.
today. Also, I had a moth on my foot, which I
Oh.
think would be a really good name for like a punk band. Moth on my foot. Anyway, Daniel Lee is in with a chat with us now, and Adam is standing by with him.
I am indeed, Daniel. What an evening! What a a turnaround in what seemed to be a little bit of an up and down season for you. A brilliant qualifying and a P2 in race one. Just talk us through the opening exchanges there and how it went for you in the first race.
Race one was satisfying. I'm glad it was only 25 minutes because it was hard work despite being, at the sharp end. And I'm amazed at the spread of pace that's here. I don't think Watkins Glen gets on with so many people here as other tracks do, but being in the top four at this point, just a couple of laps in, with Taj in front of me and Visa Kopsika ahead of Taj, it was looking like it was going to be a fight all race. But Taj dropped it on his own. I'm not sure what happened. It was going up the hill through the kinks, and that gave me a freebie. Then Visa Kopsika's tyres must have reached boiling point halfway through race one. That also made me able to pass him and keep him behind me. It was still 2 seconds behind me all the way home, so it wasn't exactly a time to relax. But up off ahead, Aaron Power was completely in his own league. So good race one. I'm happy with a solid second place on merit.
Indeed. And then we get to the adventure time of the evening, race two. Now, can I just say, actually, we did a podcast last week, and I went on record saying that when I watch you, I always wonder what adventures we're going to get up to during the evening racing, because as I'm sure you'll agree, you can be high and you can be low, all in the space of a matter of 2 or 3 corners. But we saw, and we're actually seeing it on screen at the moment. Oh no, it's not that one. Sorry, we saw you do an amazing avoidance where you literally jumped the grass on the inside curb to avoid a car spinning in front of you. How much of that did you see, and how quick did you have to react to avoid getting into a big shunt?
Yeah, that spinning car was Garzotto, and it was a shame, really, because the few laps we had before it, me and Garzotto were battling really, really hard, really close. I was just buzzing around him like an annoying fly, and I just couldn't get past. And then as we passed the back marker, who was obviously out of place, he was on the inside line. You know how it is when you have such muscle memory for a track and you have to take a different line to get past somebody. That's really risky, and he dropped it all on his own, unfortunately. And when you've got a car going sideways in front of you, you've just got to figure out where they're going to go. Luckily, everybody here knows, stick the brakes on, maintain your car in a straight line. So I mounted the grass in an act of desperation and luckily got past it. Yeah. Shame about that because the battling before then was brilliant. And you are right. It was a race of highs and lows in the first half, squabbling with a pack of what felt like 6, 7, 8 cars. I look back on lap 4, looked like it was going to be a great overtake where I managed to leapfrog Tom Stevens, Matty Chambers, and Garzotto, I believe, and then got mugged all the way back down to 4 places back on turn 1. So you are spot on with that. Many, many highs and lows, but dropped it somewhere halfway in the race all by myself on the last corner. Just too much steering angle, and when it's gone, it's gone. And the tyres at that point were screaming.
Well, the way I agree with what you've just said, but I do feel you are getting better and better each week. I feel your incidents aren't as frequent as what they were, which is a good thing, right? That's a good thing.
It certainly is. The quality of the laps being put in, I would say, I'm going to be honest, it's because of the equipment upgrades that I've made in the past few months. They've definitely made it easier to keep consistent. They do say it. You're not necessarily going to get faster, but you're going to get more consistent, and I can back that up. But yeah, I think the races in this season have definitely been more aggressive than past season. I remember the turning point for me was when Brandon Warren commented that you could trust me when I'm following you, and that to me is a byword for don't worry about him. He's not going to make a move. So this season was a matter of making a resolution. Let's take some places. Let's make people sweat a little bit. But it's being metered. I think because I'm an individual sandwiched between a pack of Evo SR and Gold Racing Team cars, they let each other off a bit, I'm sure, with moves and overtakes that don't go off so well. When you're on your own, you're completely accountable. So I've got to be extra well behaved, really speaking. But I'm enjoying this so far. The racing here is top quality.
Oh, good to hear. We're at Spa next week, a classic, legendary circuit. How do you go there? Do you race well there?
Spa. I'm confident that it's going to be good in terms of pace. Last season was a good showing. Yeah, I enjoy the track. Everybody loves it, and the field spread shouldn't be quite as large as it is here. Like I say, Watkins Glen is real Marmite for people, it seems, whereas Spa is universally loved. So we're going to see some decent fighting, I hope.
I just dug out last season's notebook. Yeah, for the ANS, because of course you were still an amateur driver last season, a second place and a first place, fourth overall in race 2. So yeah, all to prove again that you can go well there. Daniel, it's been a pleasure as always. Before we let you go, do you want to give any shout outs?
Shout out to Dean Powell, teammate. He's a mate of mine in real life. That's why we run the same livery in the same team. His improvement's been crazy over the course of the season. I've been semi-mentoring him, but believe me, he's got all the talent by himself, and he seems to be just getting better and better. So he got 9th in race 2. He's well chuffed with that, as you can imagine. Other than that, my YouTube channel is adding content related to sim racing, things that beginners and intermediates might find handy. So check that out. The account name is Danny Lee. Thank you.
Can I just say something here? Is that disclaimer on Daniel's YouTube channel has some really distressing scenes. If you're a tea maker, then don't watch Daniel Lee's channel because some of the stuff he gets up to on that is downright disgraceful. Daniel, you should be ashamed of yourself with the stuff, with the acts that you pull on that. So I just wanted to give that warning out because I did watch a few of your videos, Daniel, and I think of you very differently now.
I've got my head held high though. I am a tea making maverick. I'm a toast making sort of inventor. I just do
the
things.
toast, the
Yeah,
toast.
let's not mention that.
Daniel Lee, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm intrigued now. I'm gonna have to
If
visit his channel and
anything's
have a
going to
little
get you
look.
to watch his YouTube channel, that is going to get you to watch his because
I'm sold.
honestly, the toast, I forgot about the toast. The toast, unreal. We're gonna have a real quick word, I think, with Max Wolf because he's just popped in and we don't usually have a chat with Max, but he did a really good job today. Max, congratulations on that 4th place. We'll start though from the start of the meeting. Qualifying quite far down, surprisingly. We expected you to be a bit higher, but certainly your race pace was much better than your qualifying pace.
Yeah, it was, but qualifying, I went in there pretty confident because in the practice session beforehand, I was doing decent times, I think, and then I got into qualifying and the nerves started kicking in, and I did like a banker lap just to get a time in, and then I started really pushing, and then I hit the grass and I spun, and I was like, well, let's try again. So I had one more lap, so I was like up on my time by like half a second. And then coming into the final 2 corners, I hit the cross and spun again. So yeah, it was just a bit of bad luck and mistakes on my part, which made it a more interesting race. Let's say it that way.
Definitely did. Race 1 looks very fun. You managed to recover a decent result, and then race 2 was you're pretty much by yourself from what I could see on the most part. But then that final lap was absolutely insane. It looked like Powell had done you, but then you came straight back.
Yeah, like I was shaking after the lap. Like I was screaming because I was like so happy I could hold on. But he was clearly way quicker than me. He had the pace over me, and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna try to hold on with all I've got, and if it works, it works, and if he passes me, well, that's it. But he threw down the inside into turn one, which I didn't expect. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna tuck him behind him and get him back on the second straight because, like with the slipstream, you're done for the most part. And then I noticed through the S's, I was way quicker, like because it's slipstream. And I did it once before in the first race, I believe. Like if you go to the outside and you just can get in front, like you can kind of force them to brake because yeah. And well, I just was like, well, let's try it. So I just put it on the outside and gave it everything I got. Aaron had the same idea, so it was really close coming into the chicane. Great fun, fair battle, and man, I can't say how happy I was. I could hold on, like holy shit. Sorry,
Oh well,
sorry.
yes, we are broadcasting to John Wick
I'm really
18
sorry.
plus now. This video, dearie me. Anyway, we forgive you for that because it was a very good race. However, looking into we've got 3 more rounds of the championship to go. Going into this round, you were 4th place in the championship with drop scores, maybe a couple of places lower. Have you got an aim for the end of the season? Do you like want to win a race, or have you got a certain position in the championship that you'd want to get? What were your goals for the end of the season?
Well, the first goal when I entered the season was like because I started the season as an amateur. I was like, well, if I can get a top 3 in the amateur class, like I would be really happy. Because I watched the previous year, watched some races, and I was like, well, the top guys, they're pretty fast. I probably want to match them. And then the first race went like pretty well. I got promoted to pro. And I was like, well, if I can get a top 10, that was my main aim. Just get the top 10 in, get some confidence behind my belt, and just see what we can do in the next season. And if we can get the top 5 and just steadily climb from there. And yeah, every race is like the goal to win it, but it's more like if we can get a decent amount of points that's more important right now.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your 4th place finish today. Max, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Um, well, this is from the previous race. I would like to shout out Daniel Lee. I know he was just on there, but we had some great racing at Le Mans, and that was great fun. And I still want to thank him for that because I enjoyed it a lot. And of course, I want to shout out the team like Indy Autosport and Drew Becker, especially with his last race. He made some awesome liveries for the cars, and yeah, it's a shame he has to end the season prematurely. But I wish him all the best and hope to see him next year again. So yeah.
Definitely. Thanks for having a chat with us, Max, and best of luck for Spa.
All right. Thank you very much.
Max Wolf there. Apologies for a little bit of the language there. I don't know if I meant to apologize or not. But yes. Adam, um, Spa next. Another very popular circuit. Got a nice run of circuits actually. Really nice schedule whoever made this because Le Mans, Watkins, Glen, Spa, 3 of the most kind of most owned circuits on all of iRacing. And Spa next up, a circuit that McMahon was very strong at last season. He absolutely crushed the order in race 1, I seem to remember. So he's going to be looking to extend that championship even more with 3 meetings to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is a legendary track for a reason, and it's my favourite track of all time, anywhere ever, as well. So I love going there in anything, even in the solstice. It's still a magnificent circuit. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It'd be interesting to see if McMahon can get back to his race 1 winning ways. He won race 1 there last season, so I'd imagine that he'll be feeling pretty confident. But yeah, we've seen the rise of some other good runners tonight, haven't we? Max Wolf, notably, like we just spoke to him, and Daniel Lee looking to hit some more consistent running. So it should be a brilliant meeting.
definitely. Looking forward to that one. That will be with you next week. So no week break. We had a week break last week. Next Sunday, same time, will be round 6 of the championship from Spa in Belgium. So I recommend checking that one out. Also recommend checking out the highlights video that we're going to be producing. That'll be posted on the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel of this meeting of the championship. There's also going to be a race review as well, written down and everything. I'm sure Adam will love that one. Lots of ink and stuff. Will be all posted on the Apex Racing League website, which is also the place where you can sign up for championships. There's a few places spare in this championship, so if you want to take part in any of the action towards the end of the season, certainly go to apexracingleague.com. And you can sign up for this championship or the GT4 championship we got on Tuesday night, or the TCR championship we got on a Thursday night. Certainly do recommend that. If you've enjoyed this video, do leave a like on it, and also subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, where there's loads of other action happening, and also Apex Racing TV as well, where it's broadcasting about 10 to 15 times a week at the moment. Certainly recommend tuning in on that. But thank you for watching this stream, and hopefully you'll join us back for round 6 of the championship from Spa next week. But for now, from me, from Adam, and from Andrew, we're going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.